conference is now in presentation mode.
Good day, and welcome to today's webinar, Master Any Cloud with Hybrid Cloud Management from HPE. Thank you, everyone, for participating in the Post-Discover London Summit of 2017. This has been an event that's been going on for several days since the 31st of January, and this is our final session. And if you don't have a chance to make it to the very end, there are all of the recordings available afterwards. I just don't want anybody to miss out on that. This and all the rest have been brought to you by Hewlett-Packard Enterprise in sponsorship with Vivid, your independent HPE user community. I am your moderator today. My name is Chris Trimper. I am a manager of QA engineering in Western New York, a SIG leader for performance engineering, and as well as a local user group leader in the Western New York chapter. Today's speakers are Danny Cavian, the Director of Cloud and Automation Management at EMEA HPE. He's an automation and cloud evangelizer. He drives business planning, development, and sales activities for HPE Cloud and Automation. He will be more of a collaborator for this slide set. Carrie Sprinkle is the Senior Product Manager for Helion Cloud Suite at HPE. She began her enterprise career over 15 years ago as a sysadmin. After a few years, she became a consultant and moved on to product enablement and course development. She joined HPE in 2008 as a pre-sales engineer and has since been in marketing. Areas of expertise for Carrie are cloud management, DevOps, data center automation, and disaster recovery. Our other speaker today is Mark Breenis. He's a DevOps and cloud solution architect at HPE. He's worked pre-sales in a large enterprise customers for more than 20 years to define and deliver IT strategies and solutions. He has a background that spans numerous vertical industries, having worked with telecom industries, financial services, and large enterprises. He joined HPE in 2004 as pre-sales in finance. And for the past 4 years, he's part of the EMEA HQ business consult team, which provides pre-sales leadership and profound solution technical business value across the complete HPE software portfolio. Just a quick moment on webinar housekeeping. This is a live session that's being recorded. All recordings are available to all Vivid members. So if you want to watch it later, if you want to share it with other friends that are Vivid members, please feel free. If you wish to enlarge the presentation section at any time, there's a little rectangle in the upper right of the presentation slides. This is a slightly new webinar place platform. For any Q&A, there's a panel off to the side labeled Q&A. Just type in your question and choose Ask. If you happen to be asking a question in varying languages, you can set your language setting so it will translate nicely for us. So just to get things started, let's pass things over to Ms. Sprinkle.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Chris. So I'm not going to take up much time today. I'm going to do a kind of a quick intro. I see we do have a little bit of crossover from the previous call, and so on the previous call we did kind of an intro and we discussed the different issues that the customers are facing and how hybrid cloud management can help address those. I'm going to do a quick recap for those of you who weren't on the previous call, but I really want Mark to spend most of the time on his technical deep dive and some of the demos that he has for you today. So, so just very quickly, some of the issues that we find our customers facing today are the challenges that at an enterprise level are a little bit different from just the fact that you have to deal with public clouds or managed public clouds, right? The simple fact is that things are complex. There's a lot of different clouds, a lot of different technologies, right? It's not just clouds that you have to manage, but there are a lot of different technologies that need to be managed. And there's including automation tools and products that are out there. We call it automation in pockets, right? So I've got, maybe I've got something like Chef or Puppet. I've got different pieces and parts that are automated throughout my environment. And one of the challenges is the ability to unify that and bring that together and integrate across various silos, various teams, whether you're talking about dev and test or whether you're talking about database teams and OS teams and all of these different silos that are out there, and the fact that all of those teams have their own tools, and there's just not a lot of visibility as you go across, right? You're constantly looking out there, especially, and the last one there is around governance and compliance. So compliance is one of those things that actually brings out or really calls attention to the silos, right? Because if you have to do compliance, you have to figure out what are all the different parts and pieces that have to be compliant. So these are the kinds of challenges that people are dealing with not just with hybrid cloud, but with hybrid IT in general, right? Going across the board there. And what we found is that in order to be effective, there are a couple of different needs that need to be addressed, right? So central IT has some very specific needs around the ability to kind of unify that management of all these different environments, the heterogeneous nature of an enterprise data center, and being able to orchestrate across all of those silos, orchestrate processes that connect everything that they need to connect in order to do more than just automate in pockets, right? To really orchestrate across all of those things. And the other thing that we're seeing become very important is that, people have talked about shadow IT for years now, but we're not seeing it as a shadow IT discussion as much anymore, but more as a business unit IT discussion, because central IT is finding that they're being forced to embrace what is happening with the business units. And yet they still have to, it's still ultimately their responsibility to make sure that everything is compliant and meets all the, the security requirements and regulatory requirements and everything else that's required. The line of business has very different needs, and a lot of times these butt heads, right? These go right up against each other because the line of business is looking for, they're all about speed, right? We want to get our applications out fast. They want to use the latest technology. They want to be able to pick and choose the tools that they want. And if they can't get what they need, if they can't easily consume the services that Central IT is offering, they're just going to go someplace else and get it. But really the thing there is all about speed of being able to get services, speed of being able to adopt new technologies, and they want to be very agile and fast and frequent in their application delivery. So we have to try to kind of address all of these things from both sides and pull this together and make it easier for our customers to do that. So with that, we have introduced the latest version of our cloud management suite, and this is HPE Hybrid Cloud Management. And our goal was to really create something that's DevOps ready or DevOps driven, right? We looked at it from a DevOps perspective and from that line of business perspective, but still provide what central IT needs to make that happen. So with this suite, we're looking at three very broad use cases. The first is what we call hybrid cloud orchestration, because it's really more than just hybrid cloud management. It's more than just a cloud management platform, right? It's being able to tie all of that into, yes, we want to be able to manage multiple clouds, but how do I tie that into my existing ecosystem, right? How do I track things, monitor things, open tickets, do all of the things that I need to do when I'm managing my on-premise infrastructure? How do I do that for the cloud? Application release automation is the next use case, and that's everything. That's really, I sometimes refer to that as our DevOps use case, right? So that's the one where we really get into being able to offer platform as a service, database as a service, offer anything as a service that your dev and your test teams might need as they're moving applications through the life cycle, and also offer the pipeline management across that, so that and automate that process so they can really be able to offer continuous delivery. And then the third big use case is around cloud service brokering and being able to broker compliant services. If I'm going to offer something in my catalog as central IT, then I should be able to know that I am offering up the right service, what they need, and that that service is compliant to all of my not just regulatory requirements, but any internal requirements that I may have as well. And we want to be able to do that, right? We know that our enterprise customers are not just managing multi-clouds. They're doing it across all kinds of technologies, whether it's your traditional, your bare metal, virtual, containers. You've got all these different types of clouds. You've got traditional, modern applications that you're dealing with. And so we want to be able to unify all of that and pull that together and make that easier for, again, both for central IT as well as the line of business. So if we dig just a little deeper, I'm going to give kind of a high-level view of these three use cases, and then I'm going to hand it off to Mark, who's going to show you what we can do. And so again, the hybrid cloud orchestration, very broad use case. What does that mean, right? It means we really want to help improve agility, being able to, obviously you need to be able to provision, configure, and manage your hybrid cloud environments. But again, we kind of refer back to hybrid IT, right? Because not only can we cover those clouds, but we can also cover, the traditional IT as well. And with that, we tie in comprehensive IT process orchestration so that it's not just about hybrid cloud orchestration, but actually tying that into your existing ecosystem and providing you with the information that you need with showback reporting, workload optimization, all those things that really go hand in hand with, with cloud management. With application release automation, again, this is our the ability to actually do continuous delivery. We give you that pipeline visibility, automated stage gates, and the ability to offer anything as a service. And then finally, we get into cloud service brokering and providing service-level compliance. On the last webinar, I went off on a little bit of a tangent. I get excited about that one because we can actually help you look at compliance at the service level, so that every month or every quarter you're not running around saying, okay, hey, database team, I need your stuff. Hey, server team, I need your stuff. Hey, network team, I need your stuff. We let you look at it as a whole, right? Is my entire service compliant? So this is very exciting and unique capability that we have in the industry. So with that, I am now going to hand it off to Mark, who is actually going to show you this stuff in action. Mark?
Yeah, thank you, Carrie, and good afternoon, everyone. So I will mostly do the deep dive today through a demo I've prepared and recorded for you to fit a 40-minute time slot, which is pretty short for having a good idea of all the capabilities of HCM in its various editions. So what you will see during this demo is that based on the three main use cases described by Carrie, so hybrid and multi-cloud orchestration, application release automation, and broker compliance services, I will show you how through our HCM solution we can really create multiple compliance services from private data center and local infrastructure, but also multiple things into public cloud containers or very also common used software technology. So I will do this by sharing my screen. I will do it right now, and you should see in a second a Windows with a copy of my screen. And that should be okay now. So the first use case I will demonstrate is really the hybrid and multi-cloud management platform. So really the CMP for being able to take control around all resources And you will see it through several steps. The self-service portal, the process orchestration, the service design, and how we leverage ready content for being able to speed up the implementation of a cloud management platform. Also, how you can get cost or understand the resources you are using. So the first section of demos are mostly based for a cloud user role. So I will make this demo through role-based orientation. So cloud user, architect, operational role, and CEO, CFO role. And you will see first the marketplace and how the HCM can offer a very nice experience to customers and users of the cloud platform. So I will first shop for some very basic services. First thing you have to do is to log in. So the portal is multi-tenant. You can customize everything, change the logo, and get access to the main dashboard, which offers an overview of all available services. You can also add a widget for getting specific information you need to expose. Usually, as a user, the first thing you will do is to shop for some services. For this, it's very simple. You can, for instance, use the sidebar menu and then browse the catalog. There are two ways to look at the service catalog in HCM. The first one is a list of services. The second one, I prefer personally, is to go to a tile view in which you will be able to see the various available services which are implemented in this specific demo center. So I will go for some very basic infrastructure as a service services at the beginning. So that's the usual one, deploying a virtual machine in multiple hypervisors, or maybe importing my own VM into my private cloud. But I will go for a full customized virtual machine with backup, monitoring, and CMDB. So you can customize your service. Here it's mostly something which is very flexible, and you can select various options. But you can also obviously make things like simplification with free size of infrastructure services and very basic customization. I will just take this service like it is, and I will add it to my cart. And I will continue shopping just to show you that really the cloud management platform is not only basic services, it's also being able to consume software as a service, for instance, or roughly any kind of service you can automate and deliver to customer. I will go for software as a service. I can go for maybe configuring a SharePoint, Exchange, Office 365 subscription. What I will do is very simple. I will offer sites SharePoint as a service, and I'm able to create a new SharePoint on demand, which will be commissioned on an existing SharePoint server. I just have to provide the SharePoint name. I can then select the nature of the SharePoint. It can be a blog or a document center, whatever I want. I can add to cart, and if I'm happy with my shopping, which is the case, I will check out my services. I give names for the two subscriptions that HCM will create in a minute. And then I can select a few more options. I can select a subscription period, or if you prefer, a lease with a term date for my subscriptions. I can attach documents maybe to share this subscription with other members of my team. And you have also a team sharing option for getting the subscription available for a group of people. When I'm okay, I submit the card, and then HCM will process this request. I got an order number. So this request, as usual, became a subscription. I can see the various stages of my subscriptions. When it will be delivered, it will become a service. So the request, the subscription, and the service. And I can see that Sharepoint site is already online, so I can click on it, and I can get access immediately to the SharePoint I've created. One of the strengths of this marketplace is that all the dynamic items calculated, here for instance, the URL for accessing the SharePoint can be automatically onboarded into the portal, and so as a user you get access immediately to your resource. Let me have a check to the second service, which is my my VM. It is now online, and I can see the various things. So the first thing you can note is that it is automatically populated on CMDB. And a very important point is that we populate the whole service in the CMDB, which means that the owner, the relationships, all the components which relate to this service will be automatically populated in the CMDB, which will help a lot after for monitoring features, for instance, and being able to solve issues if something pop up by having a deep knowledge of the structure of the service. What we can do, as I saw before, is access the different results of the service, and you can also manage the service. And here you see the first key point of HCM leveraging providers is that all the providers' property. So here, for instance, vCenter or our monitoring tool onboarded for the specific demo, or the way we want to back up a virtual machine with backup software, which are considered as provider in this platform, are already onboarded, and you can select several actions for them. So when it is done, you will be able to do all the actions you want to do, and with that, get access to your full system. So after shopping for something, you usually want to, as a user, to have actions on your specific service. So for this, the easiest way to go is to go back to your service, and here I will go back to a service which is a little bit more sophisticated, which is a two-tier service, which is composed of GBoss and Oracle application components. And so when I look at the structure of the subscription I've made yesterday for being able to show it immediately to you right now, you can see all the events which happened on the subscription. And so if you want to see the underpinning results, you go to the linked service. And going to the linked service, you will see that you have a full access to your service, and you will be able to completely manage it. For instance, we can embed the server consoles to give direct access to user, and so I can directly access to my system just created for the specific two-tier application. If I go back, I will be able to also get some live actions coming from providers directly on my underpinning service. For instance, on GBoss, if I need to restart my GBoss server, I can do it directly from the wheel menu. I just have to execute. My service is now modifying, which means that I cannot do any more modification of the service till it is not executed. If I refresh the service, I will see it back again, and my GBoss stack was completely rebooted. So I have same kind of actions for instance, Oracle or VMware or whatever I want. Here, for instance, I will be able to add a front-end server, and I can maybe add this front-end server on the public cloud like the Azure cloud. So I will request this action like previously. I will execute. I will return to my service, and I will refresh the service. So here it is recorded. It was very fast. Usually for Azure, you have to count for a few minutes to get Azure correctly commissioned. And now you can see my second server available. The first one is on my private data center, and the second one is on Azure. And now if I look at the actions I have available, I will get, for instance, the same GBoss actions on my service, but the actions on the server, which is now commissioned on Azure, will be directly related to Azure, so I can now restart, shut down, or start the server. So that's really a very easy way for services owners to manage their services and get access to a lot of automated tasks on their service. The last thing I want to show you into the consumer experience is something really on the spot today. Is container as a service. So that's a category of service which is built through a Docker provider, and I will go on the hybrid cloud services category we have defined for this specific demo. And here I have a set of services which allows the cloud management platform to commission things in Azure, in Amazon Web Services, in European partners who are working with us on this technology. And I will show you, for instance, container as a service based on Docker. The first thing I can do with this service sample is to select the Docker engine, to commission a Docker engine on the server. I have 4 main choices in this sample: OpenStack, Amazon, VMware, and Azure. So I will do it, for instance, in OpenStack. Then I can, in this sample, select the containers to deploy. So this can be local containers, and I can, for instance, select between a list of 3 we have defined for this sample, and I will select to deploy a Tomcat container on my OpenStack Docker engine. Also, you can directly give a name of a container name which is available on Docker Hub, and I will also commission this Docker Hub, this container, sorry, from Docker Hub. Last but not least, with the power of the orchestration, we have the ability to onboard any kind of monitoring. So here, for instance, we have onboarded agentless monitoring for being able to monitor the containers wherever they are implemented. So when I'm okay, I check out the service as usual. It was a free service, so I'm very lucky. And I give a name for the subscription. You can have a group ownership like previously. When you are ready, you just submit the subscription. And then you can see when it is ready, the service available in my services. And I will have a look at it. And I see that my service is correctly deploying, and it is now available. And so I can get the usual console from the end user experience, and I can access with the calculated URL to my Docker engine on OpenStack. I can see maybe the container instantiated, so OnCloud and Tomcat. OnCloud came from Docker Hub, and Tomcat from my local instance. Now let's have a look to the results. Okay, obviously I can access the service. So for instance, OnCloud is a small collaboration platform, very easy to set up for maybe developer teams. Or I can go maybe to have a look to my Tomcat server. So everything is smooth. It's very quiet, ultra scalable based on Docker technology. Now I have my Docker on my OpenStack implementation, and maybe I can add a Docker server, and I will see a second Docker server and engine available on my service. You will see it in a second. So I just have to refresh the service. So here it is. So I see my first Docker on Alien OpenStack, and I see my second Docker on Alien OpenStack. With the power of this system, I can very easily migrate my Docker engine to a third-party platform. So here it is ready to be migrated on Azure or on AWS or on vCenter. I will migrate it on AWS. As usual, I execute the order, I return to service. I will see my service modifying. When it will be ready, you will see that now you have two Docker instances instead of two on HOS. You have one on HOS, one on AWS. So that's really the power of the cloud management platform for being able to articulate any kind of service you want to build across the different available resources, which means that we have an only technical design which is able to control the way the previous service, for instance, or container as a service, was deployed. Okay, all the strength of this platform came from the content we are able to use for being able to quickly create this kind of services we set up for this specific demo. So for this, we have a content store. And the content store is available from the cloud management platform. Now I've changed my role. I'm not anymore a user, but I'm an admin. And as an admin, I will be able to do a lot of things. And I will browse the content of the content store to look at the available, we name this capsule. And a capsule contains everything to have a workable control of a specific object. So it contains the provider to talk with the resource. It can be commissioning, decommissioning, modifying, or roughly anything. With the underpinning operation, orchestration, and workflow engines for talking really with the resource and orchestrating it. It contains the components for the designer, the sample of designs, and the sample of service offerings to be able to publish to users and consumers of the cloud platform. We have three types of content, the HPE ones, the partner one, and the community one. And so here you can see a set of what is available very quickly. But we have a capsule for open source technology like Puppet or Chef, for competitors technology like the Cloud Director, for very modern orchestrators like Kubernetes, for VMware, for monitoring tools, for deployers from various technology, going also to public cloud with Azure or OpenStack, to Docker, to really a big set of technologies we can use into this platform. So here is the content available from the content store. But you can also create your own content when you are ready to work with this platform, or modify existing content and use it for your own purpose. So in this sample, I will look for a specific content, which is the capsule for InfoBlocks. InfoBlocks is a technology solution able to provide domain name systems, dynamic host configuration, IPAM system, when you want to automate this part in an automatic setup. So I have the capsule. I will just install the capsule. And after the capsule is installed, which is very quick in this case as it is recorded, it took roughly 2 to 3 minutes for running, I can see the results directly as an admin in my console. So the first thing you have to do is to create a provider which will give you access to to a specific InfoBlock instance to be able to do whatever you have to do. So you name the specific instance of your target. You give credential and IP address to access it. After you did this, you can see the technical designs available for InfoBlocks. For instance, I will have a look to the InfoBlocks DNS, which is pretty simple. So, in fact, I got the InfoBlocks component into the designer and a very simple design for commissioning InfoBlocks services. And I can look at the subscriber options you will have to fulfill, especially with the fully qualified domain name, the FQDN for a specific entry in the DNS you want to create. I will see that I have a linked sample of service offerings. And if I have a look at this specific service offering, I will be able to see it, publishing it into a service catalog I want to give access to my user. And when it is done, just for this very short demo, if I move as a user and I want to test what is happening, I will immediately see in the new releases of published services that I have InfoBlocks. And if I want to consume it, it is ready to go. I just have to fulfill the name of the domain name server I want to add, and then give the IP address, check out, and it will be commissioned on my InfoBlocks server. So this was for the design part and content store. We also have an underpinning engine for commissioning everything, which is operation orchestration. And with operation orchestration, we have an integrated workflow engine, which is directly integrated to the platform. So you can first have a control of the run of these workflows. And for instance, you can see as we can commission what is happening on the existing creation of Azure images, for instance, when I have created the containers on Azure or AWS for specific sample. You can see the detailed run management, search for a specific commissioning activity. For instance, I can take this one, and you will have all the actions, get all the detailed status of what is happening on the specific service. So that's a way to get everything in control, because as mentioned by Kerry, There is more than 5,000 integration into operation orchestration. Everything is versioned from controlling the a simple object up to a very sophisticated design into HCM. More of this, we can have also content management with a lot of content which is loaded into the platform, and a big set of content pack which will allow you to control a full IT ecosystem in a very efficient and powerful way. This is more than just a cloud management platform. You can really automate full chains from HCM using this tool and being able then to take automatic actions based on maybe the load of a specific application or specific resource. And as mentioned by Kerry in the previous webinar, we have also an integrated designer for flows. And so you, from a single console, you can do any design you need for your cloud platform. We have an operation console, and we can go for capacity forecast on the cloud management platform. I do not have the time for showing this to you, so I will pass. Obviously, if you are more interested in financial, you can get the report for your consumption or for the consumption of a specific group or an organization. So I will just show you in a second what exactly look the consumption report. So you have all the showback information, which means that the duration of usage of the service and a fraction of the cost for the usual or recurring period. And you can also go for analytics to understand more where your business comes from and who is using what in your hand platform. So that's it for the Express, which was the core part of my demo today. On application delivery management, I will go for a very quick focus on application release automation. And I will just mention that we have database and middleware as a service also onboarded in this use case, which brings a lot of automation to correctly set up and manage the life cycle of Oracle database of a very large set of middleware components you can use at any time. So for the application release automation, I will just show you a very few samples, but very basically, as users in a DevOps chain, you will be able to commission application from end to end, and you will be able to use an application release pipeline. This application release pipeline is based on your application design and on underpinning infrastructure designs which are eligible to fulfill the deployment of this application in various stages. For instance, in this specific demo, I commissioned everything on Docker for development, then on virtual machine for testing and staging, then on the physical infrastructure for production. Here you have 4 stages: development, testing, staging, production, but you can customize all the stages of an enterprise pipeline. When I show the demo, for instance, usually I had a security qualification after staging for the application. So this really helps to work in a scale agile framework development mode for enterprise, but also to deploy existing application on existing infrastructure or fully automated infrastructure like we are promoting with hybrid cloud management. So you can control your deployments And you can also promote the build from stages to stages. So I mentioned, but I will not demo, that the pipeline is fully customizable. We have also pipeline statistics to understand exactly how a specific release is working in terms of development to up to production, which are the different status of sprints into this dev cycle. So you have really a control tower and able to instantiate the application and the underpinning components in various modes, depending what you want to create. It can be a cloud-native application based on containerization and Docker. As you saw in the beginning of the presentation, we have a full control of what we can do on containers with this platform. So you can leverage this for onboarding this in a full application release pipeline. But sometimes you need to commission a more traditional apps and go to physical commissioning for an Oracle database, for instance. And we can do this also for you with HCM. So that's really a good path to go progressively to a full digital enterprise, going to very modern use cases around this. Ultimate is the last part of my presentation. So you can broad compliant cloud services. Usually what I show is, for instance, the ability of consuming services from multiple platforms and making the service aggregation. What you saw previously is really a full control of the service through technical design. Here it's intermediation. It's really being able to read third-party catalogs, aggregate them into a single catalog, republish these catalogs to appropriate users, and get the results. I will focus on the compliance use case and show you what we can very simply do on the various services with the compliance module of HCM. So I will log to save some time as an admin on the compliance platform. As mentioned by Kerry in the previous webinar and at the beginning of this conversation, you will be able with this to do compliance on services created by HCM based on various policies. These policies can be something you define yourself, or it can be also industry policy like PCI or HPE, and you will be applying these policies to the services when you create them. So here are some very basic samples for policies with some database requirements. I can get a set of control I will apply on I will onboard into specific policy and then apply to services. For instance, I can check that an account must be locked after it is decommissioned to avoid intrusion and minimize the security risk. So you have a big set of things like this for being able to control your full service. I can go to a business service, which is already under control. And on this service, one of the first things I can do is to check what is the result of the compliance status by IT resource, and understand exactly how my IT resources for this service comply. So I have here my Oracle DB, my server, and other components. I can scan for compliance, or we can have a continuous scanning for depending what you want to do. And when I will refresh my dashboard, I will see that my server is not compliant. So I can get the non-compliance status and look at the results of the job to understand exactly which control applied on this specific service in the policy was not compliant. And as an action, I can run the appropriate automation for remediating the service and get my service fixed. So that's really an overview, very quick, of what we can do on compliance. And with that, in roughly 40 minutes, you had an overview of HCM. I will now hand over to Kerry for the summary of this technical presentation and demo. Kerry?
I'm trying to figure out how to get back to the slides. Screen share, presentation, there we go. Okay. Thanks so much, Mark. That was absolutely fantastic. And so we'll wrap up now with just kind of a quick summary, and then we'll turn to some questions. So just to review, we've talked about several different use cases today, and the goal here is really to address the key issues that are facing both IT and the business units today, and that is to really help them increase the agility and speed with which they're releasing new applications and application updates. And to do that, I mean, that's really the ultimate goal, right? Is to get things out faster. And to do that, we provide the unified cloud management, the application delivery, application release automation components, and all of this, again, with a big goal of trying to make this easier to use, make it, but still maintain the flexibility and the functionality that comes with that, and including. As far as we're concerned, right, compliance is a part of that. It's not something that can be excluded. And I've seen this in some of the questions that we get all the time is around, why is compliance part of this? Isn't that something different? And we disagree. It's not different, right? If I'm going to offer services, they need to be compliant services. So we find that to be very important. So that pretty much summarizes what we've talked about. Here's just the kind of the overview. This is our one slider, if you will, right? If I have to describe it in a nutshell, these are the three editions that are available. So, and they do build on each other. So we've got hybrid cloud orchestration is what's available for the HCM Express edition. The premium edition includes orchestration, hybrid cloud orchestration plus. It adds all the extra functionality required for application release automation, and then we build on that for the ultimate edition to actually broker the compliance services. So thanks for joining us today. We do have a book for download for you. This book actually goes on sale next month, but you can get it for free from us. It is a great kind of handbook, if you will, written by Jeannie Moran. This is not, we sponsored it, but this was, Jeannie has her own blog series and has been in the industry for about 20 years doing various things around data center automation, orchestration, disaster recovery, really just data center planning and management and things for many years. And so she put this together. It's actually the second in a series around how to embrace digital transformation and how do you really transform an enterprise environment. So feel free to download that. We do have our website there for the hybrid cloud management software. We got, just in the last couple of days, we got a new blog. So it's hpe.com/blog/hybridcloud. And that's our new hybrid cloud blog for hybrid cloud management. So please join us on our new blog and grab the book. Chris, you want to wrap it up?
Yes, Carrie, great presentation. Mark, excellent overview of all the different services available. I know this is definitely a webinar that people are going to want to rewatch just to figure out what they might have missed, because there's just so much packed into there. Before we get into QA questions, real quick, just save the dates for May of 2017 for the EMEA Software Customer Forums in Dublin, Ireland. And again, that's May 16th through the 19th. And there's the ability to learn more on the HPE website. And again, reminder that these slides and video is going to be available after this webinar, so that you can get that detail. And in fact, I believe there's going to be a link pushed out in just a minute with some detail on the EMEA Software Customer Forums. Before we wrap up, let's get into some questions. If you have questions or that you want to ask, just pop them in the pane. There's a couple in, and we'll see if we have time for a couple more. Quick first question, Carrie or Mark, I'm not sure which one of you this goes to, but it is about the capability to mix licenses. So is it possible to mix Express Premium and Ultimate licenses for, I guess, varying capabilities?
Yes, we can absolutely do that. The customer can order according to their needs. You may want to order, we've had some customers focus on Express to do hybrid cloud management across the board, and then add in the Premium and Ultimate. Specifically Premium, we see this quite often, where they'll add the Premium for the environments where they need to manage the application release.
Awesome. And I think there's an alternate question kind of piggybacking on that thought, where folks are seeing that database and middleware is included in Premium and Ultimate, but making sure it provides capabilities for database as a service like SQL Azure and Oracle Cloud.
So we've gotten this question quite a bit. So specifically around SQL Azure databases, Oracle Cloud databases, Amazon AWS databases. So our out-of-box content is provided for discovering and provisioning and supporting standard SQL, Oracle, MySQL, et cetera. But we do not fully support the cloud-based versions today. There is some limited content out there in the content store, and we do have more planned for future releases. But the focus of the content today is around the standard, discovering and provisioning the standard type of.
Excellent. Thank you, Carrie. Another question in here is about container support. There's a mention of native container support. How is that supported?
So no, we have.
I was going to say, if Mark wanted to take that, that whole demo on containers, right? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Okay. We have let's name it these adapters or providers for directly controlling Docker engines, but also for commissioning Docker engines on top of an operating system. So we can commission Docker engines across private and public clouds. On top of this, we can load containers into Docker. So you get really the full control of your containers across various technologies, exposed as a service in the cloud managed platform. Or you can also use this for building very modern applications. You can define really as cloud native applications, but not directly using API path like we saw in the past period, but mostly leveraging directly Docker with your own instantiation of middleware and the appropriate code from your company. And based on this, you will be able to commission in various states of the application release pipeline. Maybe your development instantiation will be on a very limited resource area, and maybe for very broad and large public application, you will go to public cloud or very strong data center, and the system is able to handle everything for you.
Great, thank you, Mark. We have, I think, just time for one more question. So let's go to one here. As an individual, he's asking, how does this HCM fit into an agile organization? Do you have some quick tips or ideas around that?
Oh, that's a very good question. I will say that you have multiple dimensions. From a cloud management platform, so really use case one, for the various members of an agile team, so can be development, testing activities, whatever you need up to operations. In fact, if you do DevOps, you will be able to handle order very simply and manage the various components you need for setting up your agile delivery chain. And especially, you will be able to, for instance, automate the functional security performance test at the end of any creation of a build, from dev, test, any kind of activity here, which means that you will be able to test in parallel the various build created by developers, and then the integrated build, which will go up to QA. You will be able to do this in parallel for all the sprints and all your versions which are under development or under production. So that's really a kind of control tower for being able to instrument all what is around deployment and control of the life cycle of a deployed object for an agile or DevOps team.
Cool, thank you. And I actually had a question myself that I'd like to throw in there. It's a fast one, I hope. When you were giving your demo, I noticed that it seems that there are certain capabilities that are made available through the service catalog, such as getting logs or dumps from JBoss, restarting, things like that. Do you find that that capability can actually help facilitate actions that, say, developers or other individuals might need, but your security teams might want to prevent logical access to the machines? Is that actually a big bonus for those individuals to be able to get in there and do that, but not actually have logical access to those boxes to perform those things?
Hi, Chris. Yeah, Chris, thanks for this question, because that's really one of the probably best feature of this solution, which is when you identify a repeatable action you have to execute as a user on the service. You will make this specific action, like changing JBoss heap size, or maybe extending a file system for Oracle. You will make this action available on the provider of the resource. So that's there are already a lot of actions available on providers, but you can also define your own, and that will help the people in a DevOps chain or in an agile team to do themselves this kind of action on a repeatable way without asking anybody, as far as they are entitled for. So yes, that's a very good bonus.
Wow, that's just fantastic. Thanks. And we're pretty much at the top of our hour, so I think we're going to wrap things up. A reminder again about the EMEA software customer forums. In your lower left, you should see under downloadable files a file available for you to download with more information about that. Again, save the dates. May 16th or 19th of 2017 in Dublin. Both a link for Vivid Worldwide and HPE are available here. We'd like to thank everybody that's been parts of this summit. This is the final session in the summit, but don't forget you can go to Vivid Worldwide to see more information about ones that you may have missed or that you want to watch again. And just thanks again for everyone joining. There will be a very brief survey towards the end, I believe. And just thanks, everyone. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Carrie, for all the great information.
Thanks, Chris.
And have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, depending on whereabouts you are today.